They cloned their first primate. And hey, they can clone a primate. This verifies what I'm talking about. Well, they can definitely clone a human. There are hundreds of people being cloned in underground facilities in Australia and in some parts of the United States. They can make a George Norrie in about 8 years from baby to you.
Okay.
The problem is the brain cannot grow that fast as the body can.
What happens to the human soul, Emery, in this kind of situation? Does the clone have a separate soul? We've all heard about cloning, but what if you or your friend or someone you met is a clone? Would you even know it? Welcome to Cosmic Disclosure, Emery Smith. Hi, Emery, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, George. Thanks for having me.
These clones, that could be just about anything, all walks of life. They could be ETs, they could be humans that are cloned. What do we know about that?
Well, cloning's been done before I even came along. They've been cloning animals for quite a while, and in the hybrid programs that I was associated with, they were cloning not only species like plants and animals, but they were also regenerating tissues of extraterrestrials and growing them and then cloning them. And then they started cloning humans a very long time ago. It's interesting now that in the news, after talking about this a few times, that now they're coming forward. China just has been doing it forever, but in their underground facilities, cloning people and cloning, of course, you heard about, they cloned their first primate. And hey, they can clone a primate. This verifies what I'm talking about. Well, they can definitely clone a human. And they're also growing humans for organs. And there's a big controversy behind this. But clones are everywhere. Human, extraterrestrial, they're wandering all over. Some people will refer to these as doppelgangers because they can grow a human to look like someone and mind program and implant them with circuitry and things like this. And they will really think they had this life and implant them into a business or into whatever organization they want. And it's many times you'll be walking down the street, you'll hear people say you could look this up online, man, this person looks just like me.
Sure.
Like, why is that? How did they get there? And they have no idea that they're probably were part of this cloning program.
Well, is there a hidden agenda? Because you've just brought something up that just scares the living daylights out of me. And that is to replace us with a clone. And who would know the difference?
This is one of the probably only times, George, that you got me on a negative part, because there is an agenda. There are hundreds of people being cloned in underground facilities in Australia and in some parts of the United States. And they're doing this for some reason which obviously is diabolical. Because there's no reason to, clone people and keep it a secret and make horrible experiments on these people and mind implant them. The biggest problem they're having is some clones, when they pick like one clone to do an experiment, and maybe they'll make 20 of these clones of the one person.
Right.
And as these clones grow older and they train them, what starts to happen is they start to have memory recall.
What if you clone the president and put this clone in the White House? You put them in Russia, in the Kremlin, and you put them all over the place. And what if there's a company behind it that wants to control and dominate the planet?
There is, I think, a possibility that this could happen. I don't think it's likely that it's happening right now. I think it's more of corporate domination, actually. That's higher than the president. Do you understand?
I get it.
So it's more important that these corporations are inserting these clones that are programmed that look like people and having these people unfortunately terminated. They're terminating, because you have to terminate someone to replace someone.
Who in the heck concocted this kind of scheme? The deep state? Somebody's got to be behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it is this pop culture term deep state, which for me is just the major corporations that have their own agendas and that may be influenced also by a higher force as well.
How long has it been happening? Years?
Oh my goodness. As far as I'm concerned, when I found out about it in 1990,
29 years ago?
They must have been doing it at least 2 decades before that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The technology is that advanced?
Yes. Yes, it is. They're able to 3D print now individuals and people, over a few months.
Now, we're primarily concerned about humans cloning humans for their own purpose.
Right.
But what about ETs cloning humans? And they kind of inject themselves. Is that possible?
I mean, it's possible. I'm not aware of any extraterrestrials that are, cloning humans. I am aware of extraterrestrial beings that are collecting DNA from humans.
That's been ongoing.
Ongoing, but for a good reason, not for a bad reason. They can make anything too. I mean, they're already at an advanced level of science that we would not understand to do that if they needed to.
Is a clone, Emery, basically a human being identical to the clone? And so they eat, they sleep, they do everything that a human does?
No, because they still have to go through the growing process. And so it's a lot of work.
You can't speed that up.
Well, they have sped it up, but there's a problem. They can make a George Norrie in about 8 years from baby to you.
Okay.
The problem is the brain cannot grow that fast as the body can. So all your bodily tissues, such as your bones and muscles and tendons and things like anything made of collagen can be very rapidly, accelerated with the technologies they have. And the learning, you can learn pretty quickly. But there seems to be a problem they're having with the brains.
What's the agenda? What's the mission here to clone?
I don't know that agenda. I can just give you my opinion on it, that they would use it for a fear type thing, such as a fake alien invasion, definitely control, like a secret army, a secret group of assassins, things like this that, is very frightful. Just to know that they're doing this on a mass production conveyor belt is horrifying enough. And because you have to take care of this being. You have to feed this being. You have to train this being.
It's alive.
It's a real person.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of them have recall, and then the recall messes up with their psyche. But it's still it's not in the early stages, but it's not always successful, I'll say.
What happens to the human soul, Emery, in this kind of situation? Does the clone have a separate soul?
I believe that the clone has a separate soul, a separate personality, but is also linked to its twin, its clone, its other clone.
Okay.
Because it's been shown already that when you take DNA in this glass of water and you put this purified water over here, that it automatically starts to have the DNA in this glass of water, whether you're shooting laser light through it or using sound frequency. So if you're taking any DNA from anyone, it has a hard drive in this DNA that DNA is going to recall some things. That's how we sometimes contract illnesses that our grandmothers and grandfathers have, that it's in the lineage, it's in the DNA. So what's not to say that the programming that the original person had could easily be in the clone and actually have traits of this person. As far as the soul and spirit, that's still a very confusing thing for me to understand. But these clones do have, feelings. They do have emotions. They do have everything a normal person would have, and they have the choice to make a spiritual decision if they wanted to, be a religious person or something like this.
Do they have the memory of the person they've been cloned, or do they also have their own?
They have their own life experience memory, and they have most of them, 80% of them, have some sort of recall of who they were before.
Do they know they're a clone?
Well, some do. Some figure it out. Some are actually soldiers of cloning, so they actually are raised for certain missions.
I mean, if a clone of 𝗪𝗓𝗧 came in here right now and looked at you, would that clone think he was you?
He could possibly think that. You know, I've met in the military, two individuals that I was very shocked to have seen face to face, because it was definitely me. And
you looked at yourself.
Yeah, and it was very interesting, and people noticed this, and it wasn't something that was like deep in the projects. This was on top of, you know, working at Kirtland Air Force Base.
Interesting.
That we became kind of friends for a very, very short period of time, and then he disappeared or got relocated. But it was very interesting that people picked up on this and saw the exact similarities. And, you know, so there is a possible way that this is happening, but his personality was completely the opposite of mine.
Why would there be another cloned you? What was the purpose?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was also, you know, it's possible the universe too, with doppelgangers, that these people are born on separate parts of the world, and it could be just an energetic thing that they were born at the same time and the same energy and the same alignment with the stars. And, you know, there also is the natural cloning of what I call, you know, these doppelgangers you see.
Do they want to replace you?
I don't believe they're cloning me for any reason whatsoever. I don't have any.
But if there's two more of you,
I don't have any intuition of that. But to see, you know, someone that's identical to you is a very startling thing. And this is when I was very, very young, of course, in my early 20s.
Can clones mate? Do they have children?
Oh, clone is it's just like when we clone a primate or a pig or a cow. They still have all the same organs, all the same things.
The ability to breed.
The only thing that's different is some of the clones are implanted, and they're using circuitry and biocircuitry to be either maybe sometimes mind controlled or to carry out one-way missions, we call them, or they're definitely going to die on this mission, but they're going to accomplish whatever that agenda is.
How many secret labs do you think there are on this planet performing cloning?
I know of 6, so there's probably
all over the planet.
There's probably double that or more.
𝗪𝗓𝗧, how prevalent are ET clones?
ET clones are very prevalent. That's just something they do. They've been doing it forever. It's kind of interesting how many ET races all look the same.
They do. They're remarkable.
And it's like, well, why is that? Were they perfecting their super agenda for creating a stronger person? Maybe were they getting DNA, manipulating it so the human would be the superhuman, and we'll all be this amazing super creature that does not get sick, that can live for 500 years, that's born with all the technology already built in. So I think there are some races out there that are all the same clone, but just because of the bodies I've seen and worked on, it's just too identical.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to watch the next video on AwakenZone. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, but you won't want to miss what's coming next.